So if you look at me here and here, these pictures are a few months apart, and you might not think, Paul, there's not a lot of difference. Explain to us why you're showing off something that looks very similar. But what you don't know is that my calories go from here to here. Let me explain how and how you can do it as well. Hey guys, what's going on? This is Coach Paul from ProPhysique.com. In today's video, I want to explain to you that fat loss is not the end of the line for your work. A lot of us have a goal. We think, man, I just want to get this body fat off. I want to strip it off. And if you look at this video of me here a few years ago, I had some nice, lovely love handles, a little belly fat. I had some face fat. And you think, yeah, that's pretty normal for a guy in his late 40s. Well, guess what? Now I look like this every day and I'm 50. And why? Well, a couple reasons. The biggest being is that the process is not over when you get the body fat off. And a lot of the clients that I work with have a history of dieting down, getting shredded, getting to their goal, and they gained it all back. So let's answer this question that I got because it's a great one. Currently, I'm reverse dieting from extremely low calories. My intake as of now is 1,700, but I'd like to be around 2,200. How do I increase my maintenance and stay lean? Well, first things first. You get to your goal. Along the way of getting to your goal is where it starts, including things like high carb refeed days. And depending on your approach, this is going to be unique from person to person. But let's just give some numbers as an example. Let's just say for the bulk of your diet, you were at 150 protein, 200 carb, and 50 fat. And that was getting you lean. But what you noticed that you weren't getting as full in the gym and you were starting to stall a little bit. Well, this is where I would introduce what I call a refeed day, which is basically a planned increase in carbohydrates. Why? Carbohydrates are great for metabolism. They're great for thyroid. They're great for muscle fullness. They're great for mental well-being. And they're also just great for a good gym pump, right? So that performance in the gym, that good feeling, that euphoria that you get from a high carb day, it's going to serve you into the rest of the week. Oftentimes when I'm lower on my carbohydrates, just due to the phase I'm in, I look forward to that day so much. I'm like, man, I can suffer on these low carbs. So let's just keep it going for a couple more days. So if you're doing this throughout the process of getting leaner, it's going to increase the likelihood that you're successful. The other tool that I use is called a diet break. Now comment diet break below if you want me to do a full video on this. I've done a few in the past, but I could probably do an update for 2026. The diet break is basically what I just told you, except instead of just focusing on carbohydrates, we bring your calories up to maintenance, current maintenance. We bring your cardio down to maintenance, current maintenance. Notice what I said. We're not removing cardio. We're not removing training. We're just toggling some switches so that your calories come down, your cardio goes up, and you go to maintenance mode for about a full week. Although the research that was done in this, they did it oftentimes for 2 weeks, but I find that's not as necessary, especially if we have a timeline to reach for our fat loss goal. But however, you've already reached your goal. You're at 1,700 calories. What should you be doing? Well, I check in with my clients during a building phase, specifically the ones that want to stay leaner, and I tell them two things. One, you cannot change what you were doing before. You have to continue to get up and do cardio if you were doing it, get up and do meal prep if you were doing it, avoid alcohol, avoid late nights, keep up with your sleep. You can't just completely revert to the person you were until you have gotten your calories high enough and your cardio low enough that you can maintain it with a little more freedom. I will say that when you initially come out of a fat loss diet, you can't have as much freedom, but you can build up to it. So what would I typically do at 1,700 calories? We're probably looking at close to 5% of a calorie increase per week, okay? So if you're at 1,700 calories, you're looking at 170 calories would be 10%. I think that's too big of a jump, okay? So I'm probably looking, this would be like 85 calories, somewhere between 50 and 85 calories, depending on your height, your activity level. So increasing that per week. Now the bulk of those are gonna come in the form of carbohydrates. Why? Because we don't really strip away protein. We don't really strip away fat. Carbohydrates have the biggest variable. So if we're adding, say, 80 calories, most of that's going to come in the form of carbohydrates. You do that for a week, every day, you just keep those numbers the same. And then after a week, if your weight is stable, or maybe it started dropping, you can add another 50 to 80 calories, okay? You do this over multiple weeks, you remain consistent, and voila, you're over 2,000, 2,100 calories. What do you do with your cardio? Most of the people that I coach, I immediately reduce their cardio to half. So let's say you're doing a 60-minute incline walk every day. If you're part of our free walking group on Facebook, if I remember, I'll link it below. We're doing a free 30-day challenge. Walk every day for 1 hour for 30 days. And the results have been astonishing. I started in the beginning of the year and I've documented a lot of that, but a lot of the people in the group have just seen some pretty crazy things. But the point is, you don't want to just go from all that cardio to zero, right? But I can safely say you just cut it right in half. You go from that hour to that 30 minutes. And what this is going to allow us to do is we're still getting the benefits of movement. We're still burning a few calories, but we're not burning enough calories to be in a caloric deficit. It is very challenging to get body fat off. It is not nearly as challenging to keep it off. But most of us just fumble at the end. We get to the 1 yard line, the body fat is off, we feel good. Then we just forget the person that we became to get all that body fat off. We go either on a trip, a vacation, someone comes into town, something happens, and you're a little bit tired. You're a little bit hungry after a long dieting phase, and you just don't want to deal with it anymore. And you just, you go to Chili's, you go to Five Guys, you go out, you have some tequila. I mean, if you're doing any of the things, call me, because that's where I want to be. But the point is like, if you just avoid that for a little bit, you can get to a place where your calories are high enough where those things won't be a problem. So yeah, give yourself a week at the new maintenance. If you're maintaining, add another set of calories. If the scale goes up, if the weight goes up and you don't like it, just maintain it for another week, okay? Don't force it. Find ways to just be consistent, just like you were in the fat loss phase. All right, hopefully this helps. If you have any questions, let me know and comment diet break if you'd like to make me make a video on how to exactly handle a diet break.